I'm Dr. Morris, one of the course faculty. Today we are going to discuss tips for presentations. The organization of the presentation is very important because you want the information that you are presenting to flow logically and to make sense to your audience. It's important to know your audience because you may alter the content of the presentation depending upon who your audience is. It's helpful for you to use an outline to organize the presentation. For course assignments, you may be provided with a presentation outline, which helps identify what information to include in the presentation, as well as the sequence of content. Otherwise, some common approaches that you can use for organizing content include moving from simple to complex, or moving from broad concepts to more specific concepts. It's a good practice to begin the presentation with an introduction and end the presentation with a conclusion. The introduction sets the stage for the presentation. Similarly, the conclusion is important because it gives you an opportunity to summarize or reinforce key points for the audience. After the introduction, you'll discuss the content of the presentation. The content includes the information that you will convey in the presentation. The complexity of the content may be altered depending upon your audience. It's important to know your audience and their prior level of exposure or experience with the content. For example, if your audience is the general public or lay people and you are presenting on a health-related topic, you will want the content to be less complex and use simpler words to explain key concepts. Whereas if you are presenting on the same health-related topic and your audience is comprised of healthcare professionals, then you will want to use professional language and increase the complexity of the content included in the presentation. The next element we'll examine is that of visual interest. It's important for your slides to increase the visual interest for your audience. To do this, you can use color, graphics, and pictures. Research shows that using color on slides helps increase retention. Graphics can also be used to display information in a concise format. For example, including tables in presentations can be very effective in conveying large amounts of information. However, it's important to ensure that the information included in the graphic or table is in large enough font size to be readable. The saying that a picture conveys 1,000 words holds true with increasing the visual interest in presentations. The picture can be the focal point for discussing the related content. Sometimes pictures or images are copyrighted, so you will want to ensure that you have permission to include the picture or image in your presentation and that you properly cite where you obtain the image from. Shutterstock is a good site to find royalty-free images. Additionally, the Microsoft Office suite includes standard images such as pictures, shapes, or icons that can be included in presentations. You'll also want to ensure that you have a balance of white space or empty space on the slides. In other words, you want to make sure that your slide is not so busy with text, graphics, or background images that it detracts from the message you are trying to send with the slide. Another option to increase the visual interest of your slide or slides is to use the Design Ideas feature in PowerPoint. This is a great resource to help arrange your text in a visually appealing way and to include graphics or color or images to convey key information. A good guideline to follow to ensure readability of text on a slide is the 7-7 rule. This rule helps you limit how much text is included on a slide. The rule specifies that you should limit the amount of text on a slide to no more than 7 lines of text and limit the number of words on each slide to no more than 7 words. Make sure that you use standard font types that are easy to read, such as Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri. And avoid font types that are difficult to read. Typically, the more ornate the font type is, the more difficult it's going to be for individuals to read it on a slide. Another tip is to ensure that the size of the font is large enough to read. And this really depends on where you're displaying the slide. If you're displaying the slides or giving this presentation in maybe a large room, then you're going to need to use larger font size on your slide. Whereas if you're preparing this presentation maybe for submission for an online presentation for a course, then you can use smaller font sizes adequately. Another tip is to use bullet points to capture key points or paraphrase key points. And this is because we really don't want anyone just to read the slides to us verbatim, because most people feel like, hey, I can do that. I don't need to watch this presentation for me to just read the slides. So you want to make sure that you're using bullet points or key points to help you paraphrase slides. In terms of narration, it's helpful to create a script to facilitate narration of an online presentation. And this helps you avoid some of the natural pauses in our speech, such as and to present your ideas in a professional manner. If you're recording, you want to make sure that you eliminate background noise as much as possible. And one way to do that is to use a headset with microphones. With a microphone if possible, and that does help cut down on background noise significantly. The goal is for the narration to be clear and understandable. It's important to enunciate words clearly so the audience can understand what you're saying. Again, elaborate on key points, avoid reading the slides verbatim. I use the key points to help me remember what content I want to present so that I can address that key point. So the key point has to mean something to me to prompt my memory to be able to discuss that key point in more detail. And it should also have some resonance with the audience as well. Ensure that you speak at a pace that allows you to clearly articulate your words and allows the audience to process your speech. I'm sure we can all think of examples when the narrator for a commercial speaks so fast that we can't understand the words that they are saying. On the other hand, we can probably think of situations where we've heard a narrator speak so slowly that it makes it difficult to pay attention to what the narrator says. We want to be in that sweet spot where the pace is just right so people can understand us without losing interest in what we're saying. So thank you for listening to this presentation today. I hope that you found these tips to be helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks again and have a great day.